Hi, this is Trust and Neil from the Call to Learn conference, and we have Marlene Peterson who is going to be answering some questions for us. Thank you, Marlene, for coming.
Thank you.
So I can't wait because I don't know you very well. I really want to know who you are. Could you tell us about who you are?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Yes.
Well, I'm a mother. I have 9 children. All of them, my husband says all of them are boys except for 8 of them.
Oh.
And they actually we had them they're within an 11-year span. So we had some very crazy years. I think when you're a young mother, you kind of have blinders on and you don't know what you're in for, but
so 8 children in 11 years. No, 9 children in 11 years.
We adopted one daughter when she was 11. So there are actually the 9 children are within an 11-year span.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
Did you ever want to give up as a mother?
Never. I wanted to be a mother. I think, I think one of the greatest tests for a woman is to be denied the opportunity to be a mother. And I went through that test before we started having children, where I didn't know if I was going to be able to have children. And once they started to come, every single baby I was so grateful for. And people thought we were crazy because they were coming about every 18 months, but every time it was, yay, yay. I love my children. I love them.
That's wonderful. That's great. Well, how exciting to be able to be a mother. I think being a mother in this time is really awesome too.
And I think one of the biggest surprises for me is how much of life is left over after you raise children. I always thought in terms that being a mother is your whole life, but there's a lot of life at the other end. To choose to be a mother and to tend to hearts for this brief time really doesn't mean that you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
And so it's not an either or at all.
That's true. Because you still get life.
Right.
You still get to do things. That's great. So tell us about where you came from, how you met your husband, things like that.
Well, I grew up in Southern California. I was blessed to live right across the street from the beautiful gardens, Descanso Gardens. It was
neat.
Heaven on earth. And I didn't have a mother that hovered over me. So I was free to come and go. We didn't have to pay in those days. So that was a very wonderful memory of childhood. Wow. My husband and I met at BYU. He was from Northern California, and I was from Southern, and we got married. And
in the Manti Temple?
In the Manti Temple,
yes. Our favorite.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I did it because we scheduled our reception and then found out that that the Salt Lake Temple was closed that day and the Provo Temple was closed. So closed on a Saturday, if you can imagine.
Yeah, so, not together anyway.
But I'm glad it worked out. I love the Manti Temple.
Me too. It's beautiful. So you got married, and did you live in Provo, continue to live in Provo?
We did for a time. We somehow, when we lived in Provo, my husband worked in Salt Lake, and we'd moved to Salt Lake, and he'd go to Provo. So we kept doing this really crazy thing. And then we eventually moved to Colorado. We lived in Colorado for about 12 years.
Where in Colorado?
In Littleton.
Oh, okay.
Colorado.
Right by Denver.
Yeah.
I was born in Glenwood Springs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Beautiful. I love the state. And then we came back and lived in Utah a little while. And we've been in Virginia for about 8 years. I love the quiet country life. Yeah.
So do you live in the country?
Yeah, just Appomattox, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. We have a Walmart, and that's about what we need.
Yeah.
There's 2 cars at the traffic light. We feel like we've got a traffic jam. It's very quiet.
Wow. Yeah, that would be different here, isn't it?
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Salt Lake's gotten a bit more crowded in the last few years.
Yeah, a lot more traffic. All right, so tell me about raising your children. You did not homeschool some of them, but you did homeschool them later. Tell me your homeschooling story.
I have always had this restless spirit where education's concerned. My kids did fine wherever they were at, but I was just always looking for something. And so we did public school and charter school and private school and unschool and distance learning and online. Each one of my children has kind of a different school experience. But they all, I guess you'd say, were a success because all 9 children have graduated from universities and several have earned advanced degrees. But it really didn't satisfy me. There was something always that I felt that was missing. And I've told the story elsewhere that as my youngest was getting ready to leave home, I had a friend that asked if I would help with a little project. She had adopted a school in the slums of Nairobi, Kenya. And as I started as I look at the pictures of these children, I just had this restlessness just grow bigger, because here were these kids. They were in this makeshift classroom with tin sheets for the walls that were hot, and a dirt floor and wooden benches, but they were there hungry to learn. And I really started to question, what is the purpose of education?
Yeah.
It just didn't seem valuable to get them college prepped or train them for a job, because a lot of these kids were orphans. They probably wouldn't even live to adulthood. And so I just started to ask myself, really, what can we give them? What is the purpose of education? And I thought it was interesting. I found an article once that they surveyed 365 people and asked that question, and they got 365 unique answers.
Oh, wow.
So how interesting that we're trying to create a model when we don't even agree on what the purpose of education is.
That is interesting.
So with that desire, what I wanted to know was, what was God's purpose and what was his method? And with that desire, I woke up in the middle of the night one night and just had this feeling to go downstairs with my books, and I stood there in my nightgown and scanned my little library, and my eyes fell on the shelf that had the 16 volumes of the teachings of the prophets, and the feeling of start there. And so I spent the next year in this intense study that I wrote pages, hundreds of pages of notes, anything that pertained to learning and education.
Awesome.
And then went through the process with the 4 standard works. And that became my standard of truth. That as I started to study philosophies of education and different curriculums, I would think, how did this compare to this standard? And as truth does, and I know you know this, it distills down to very simple things. And I truly have come to believe that the purpose of education is to prepare children to live lives of maximum joy. If that is our Father in Heaven's purpose for us to have joy, then would he have education be something different? That the two wouldn't be separated.
Right.
And I believe the method is that he intends to be the teacher, that and all our children shall be taught of the Lord, not just about him, but by the Lord. And I'll talk in the presentation about how we access that light and increase that capacity for light and understanding. And through all that learning, it was this simple pattern of learning that kind of emerged that I'll talk about. And it just keeps layering. It's such a simple pattern, but as I implement it in my own life, and as I've watched other people, they tell me that they just are having an increased measure of joy and light in their home. So it works. I know I have a daughter that says to me, Mom, people are listening to you. What if they're ruining their children? And I worry about that, but no, I don't worry about it. My confidence comes because anything I teach, I go back to the scriptures for verification. Is this a true principle? Good. And that's just how it is. So a long answer for a little question is I didn't have these things when my children were growing up. I wish that I did, but I'm trying to teach them to my daughters and use with my grandchildren and others.
Great. And how is that being received with your family?
Good.
Awesome.
Really good things.
Cool.
Yeah, love grandkids. Best part of all.
Yes. Yes. I'm excited to have grandchildren someday.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. And so do your daughters homeschool their children? Okay.
They have been.
Wow. So how do you feel about homeschooling?
Well, I think the gift of homeschooling is time, that you can do so much more. Public school and other schools tend to structure it so much that you don't have. I think the greatest gift my mother gave me was that time, because the Spirit works in the quiet moments. We never let our kids have quiet. We always want to structure their time, and are you doing this? And it's that test and measure thing.
Yeah.
And homeschool allows you that flexibility of quiet time where the Spirit can teach you. So I know that it's not feasible for all mothers. Everyone has different circumstances. And the things that I talk about educating the hearts, if your child is in school, just know that they're focusing on the mind. And you need to pay special attention and make sure you're nurturing the hearts at home. And use those.
Yeah, great.
To be notified of our newest YouTube videos, be sure to click the subscribe button here. Head over to our new website for the latest gifts and promotions. For more videos like this one, click this playlist here.